Today on Expert Showcase, we're going behind the episode with Pallavi Kapoor, who is our stress expert. Is stress making you crazy? 3 techniques that will help you remain calm and focused.
And welcome to Behind the Episode. I screwed it up again. You know what? People have to, there's got to be an over-under bet, on how many times I'm going to screw this up.
You only have a 50-50 chance, Chris, of pointing in the right direction here. So,
but there should be a tally. We get a little scoreboard down there, the Chris Wrong Pointer tally. So anyway, over here is our awesome interviewer, Dr. Mark Kossman, and right above me is our great guest, Pallavi Kapoor. Hey, I got it. That's, I'm now like 1 for 75 today in pronouncing Pallavi's name. Anyway, we just got done creating a great episode, and now we're going behind the episode. Mark, why don't you take it away?
Okay, well, if you're feeling stressed in your life, stay tuned to the end where we'll show you the episode with Pallavi and our conversation about some techniques that will help you. In the meantime, Pallavi, we're going to have a little conversation about you and your background and how you promote yourself and how you market your business and your services so that the people in our audience might get some tips and strategies that will work for them as well. And while we're doing that, Chris is going to take some notes, and then we're going to turn it over to Chris to convert our conversation into pearls of wisdom. No pressure, Chris. No pressure at all. All right. So, Pallavi, welcome to Behind the Episode.
Thank you. It's really good to be here.
Okay.
I'm breathing. I'm doing my breathing exercise.
You're foreshadowing the techniques that we will talk about.
There we go. I got the smile. I did it out of order, though. I smiled.
Right. It all gets jammed up, and then you get stressed that you're not breathing right, And it's, that actually happened to me once, Pallavi. I don't know if this is ever. I was working with somebody and trying to teach them a breathing technique, and it had actually backfired temporarily because they got so anxious about how to breathe properly that they almost couldn't breathe. I'm like, really? No, you know how to do this. Just stop thinking for a few minutes here. So, anyway, I digress. So, Pallavi, tell us a little bit about your background. You have some interesting places in the world you've popped around to, and then how you got into this world of helping people manage their stress better.
Okay, well, I'm probably tell by looking at me, I was actually born in India. I grew up in England, and I've been here in the States now for 18 years. When I was in England, I used to be a dentist, and I was married. My first husband died. After he died, I decided I no longer wanted to do dentistry, but help people in a different way, and I actually changed my career to social work. And not that, I think just dentistry, I love the part of it where I was interacting with people and, helping them. I just never really enjoyed the actual work of it. So, after his death, I just reevaluated my whole life and decided I wanted to help people in another way. I worked as a social worker for 10 years, both in nursing homes and also in hospice care. And when I was working in hospice, that's where I was introduced to energy work. The modality that I practice is healing touch. And it was from there that I felt like I'd found my passion in life. This is like what I want to do when I grow up, kind of thing. And I've just really been expanding from there, from the healing touch to other modalities in the holistic field. And, my focus is really just to helping people to be as well as they can be, to be as happy as they can be, using natural methods of, being well on all levels, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually.
That's excellent. So obviously the incredibly obvious theme that runs through there is in all of the things you've been doing, you've always been focused on helping and healing. It's just you've been exploring different ways of doing that, from dentistry to social work to then these different energy. And I know a little bit about energy work, but not a ton, and I do find it kind of fascinating. But people will learn a little bit more about the stress reduction part and some strategies in a couple of minutes here. So let's talk a little bit about how you've been, since you've had to change career a couple of times. Obviously, you've had to reinvent yourself, but then you've also had to engage the people that you're going to be working with, get them to find you, get them to know that you exist, get them to know that you have a certain expertise that could be helpful to them. So as you made that shift away from social work and into this energy work and healing work, how did you go about doing that? So, and just to kind of put a little bit of a framework on it, I mean, Chris and I often kind of break it down into three parts, like how do you gain visibility so that people actually see you, find you, trip over you? How do you then establish that you have credibility, that you really know what you're talking about? And then ultimately, the gold standard is, can I get myself sort of positioned and recognized as an authority in a particular area? So let's talk visibility. How did you start trying to get people to know, hey, I'm not a social worker, I'm an energy healer?
I think I just, tried various different routes when I first started out. I was networking, going to different networking meetings and interacting with people that way, and explaining to them what I did and how I could help, those kinds of things. I also, I think my favorite thing to do, and still is to give presentations to various groups. I find that's really, it just works for me. I can really, talk about various things. I really love educating people, and it's just a great way to be able to get in front of a large number of people and, give them some great tips, information that they can use, and excuse me, and get to a larger population of people that way, to let them know what you do and how you could help them. So I think those are probably like the two main strategies I used when I was starting out in my business. The networking and then giving presentations. I didn't really do as much online. I know that that's definitely a way to go, and probably could use your expertise in all of that. But yeah, I know I really haven't done as much as I had the website and all that kind of stuff, and I slowly started getting into Facebook. But yeah, I definitely need to learn a lot more about that side of things.
Well, obviously they're kind of the same skills, but applied to different media and different different technology. And I'm curious about the speaking. I mean, because I know that a lot of people know that speaking is a good way, but they don't necessarily have good ways to get the speaking gigs. So how did you typically go about doing that? I mean, did you seek out specific venues? Did you do enough networking that people knew that you would speak, and so they would seek you out? How did that evolve for you?
I actually researched different groups and venues that I could present at, and I approached them and gave presentations that way. It just kind of worked out for me, but that was actually the way I did it. I didn't do it so much through the networking. It really was through my own research, finding people I could approach, and they were open to me coming. I guess because I was doing something that was so different, they were curious as well, and so it worked out.
And so what kind of venues would you seek out? I mean, would you look at businesses and companies? Was it different already healthcare kind of settings? What did you kind of focus on?
Kind of like support groups, those kinds of things.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Yeah, support. Mainly like support groups, either like for cancer support groups or bereavement support groups, or those. Yeah, I think that's where I was focused initially when I first started out in my business. So it kind of that was like where I focused. And also just having the medical background and the health focus, so it just made sense to me. They seem like an easy population to find and to approach, so that's how I started out.
Right, great. So the parallel for someone who's not in healthcare, but the same logic is finding that niche where people are already looking for the kind of services that you offer, but maybe a different modality. So here they were already people looking for support, looking for help, but not necessarily knowing anything about the energy part or the stress reduction part. So they would welcome you, obviously, to say, hey, I've got something I can add of value to what you do. And I think we can all think that way in terms of where are people already gathering, doing something similar but not the same as what I do, that I could give another spin on. So if I were speaking there, you could take this and add it to what you're already doing. So I like that. And so you've started to do some things online, even if it's in the beginning. I mean, what do you tend to put onto Facebook? I mean, to try to get the word out there.
I mean, at the moment, I'm just really putting posts on there of things that would be useful information to help people cope with stress, or just around information that they can use in their daily lives. It's nothing obviously deep or really detailed, but just small things that they can use, maybe a tip here, a tool there, that they can really just use to help reduce their stress and be well and healthy. Because I understand, with Facebook, people don't have the time to read everything in detail
sure,
anyway.
but it is in that stream, and so you are getting in front of some people. So clearly, it is a visibility strategy. I mean, your face, your name, your information is at least getting out there. And then if they do click on it or engage with it, then and they're finding that tip helpful, then again you're establishing credibility then, right? Because they say, hey, this actually works. Pallavi might know what she's talking about. Maybe I want to know more. Maybe I'll go look at her website. So yeah, that's clearly the name of the game. Great. Well, Chris, I'm gonna flip this on over to you at this point, and I'm curious to hear what you're hearing.
Birds chirping, cats walking around. No, I'm just kidding. So first and foremost, thank you to the viewers for sticking around this long. Mark tends to.
Yeah, I drone on and on and on.
Just kidding. So you definitely want to stick around through the rest of this and get to, as we get into Pallavi's episode a little bit later on. There's a couple of things that I heard that I want to make sure everybody else did, and then I just want to kind of have a little bit of a conversation, and then on to your 3 points. So one of the things was really that, while you were in one field, you got exposed to another field, and the light bulb went off, and you had that aha moment. I think the beautiful part there is really being receptive to something else. Because let's face it, energy work and energy healing isn't completely mainstream, and what you were doing was very mainstream as far as dentistry and social work and everything. And I think a lot of times coaches are out there and they have these hints of what they could do, but they're not listening. They're not receptive. It's like kind of the feathers getting tickled. They're kind of getting a little tickle and they just brush it away. And they don't realize until the 2x4 comes upside the head that they should be doing something else.
Right.
The second thing you should be commended for, and I want everybody watching this to realize, is that courage really was the key here. And what I mean by that is that when Pallavi went for the speaking engagement, she had the courage to not only do the research but approach people and say, look, here's what I want to do. Can I come and do this, for you and at your facility? A lot of coaches and speakers don't have that courage. They have a great idea and they really want to sit. They do some stuff online, but they don't go out and do the legwork necessary and approach people like they need to and that sort of thing. So that's the other thing that I want everybody watching to understand, is the fact that if you're not getting where you think you should be, you may want to check your courage quotient, so to speak, and see, are you out there doing everything that's necessary? And if not, why not? And I say that, it's not necessarily that you can't do it, but there's got to be something in your past that's stopping you. So those are a couple of just the key points that I want to make sure that everybody got. Mark, in your questioning, you got through visibility. And I know credibility is something that we're going to talk about a little bit, Pallavi, but what are you doing currently to establish your credibility to your audience, whether it's the presentation audience or whether it's on Facebook, online? What are you doing currently to establish your credibility?
I think I'm actually starting to write more blogs and articles now, which I wasn't doing before, and that's, I think, really helping to help people understand what I know, and also to feel that I do know what I'm talking about. So I think that's really my main thing that I'm doing. And eventually down the line, maybe I would like to write that ebook or book, but I don't think I'm quite there yet. But definitely, I think writing is a great way of helping people just know what I know and just sharing with them what I know. And I think that's so important.
Yep, definitely.
Very cool. And Mark, you can see me now, remember. So when you see me looking down,
I see you looking down typing. You're taking notes.
Typing. So you're more than welcome to jump in.
If you want me to jump in?
If you hear me quiet looking down.
I mean, the reason I'm smiling, Pallavi, is that, Chris and I often joke back and forth that isn't it interesting that the word authority comes from the word author, right? I mean, and there's almost this concept, right, of that, well, you wrote the book on such and such, and that's, you know, and the idea of authority is that, you know, you're referencing the person who wrote the book, and therefore they are the authority. So, you know, yeah, I think we all work our way up to you know, and you know, it's up to anybody how far they want to go with that, but to start by putting your thoughts into words, you know, writing, blogging, all of that. There are quite a few people who have been talking lately about the fact that you can blog your book essentially too. I mean, your blog post can be a series of segments, and you can be sort of working out your themes and ideas, and then recombine them into a book later. So.
Right. Yeah. Very true. Yeah.
Well,
Good idea.
Yeah, and that's even, you know, I was gonna say pretty much the same thing, and I would say, Pallavi, what you know, one of the things. Do you mind if I give you a piece of advice at this point?
Sorry, I didn't hear.
I said, do you mind if I give you a piece of advice at this point?
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Sure.
Chris, what were you going to do if she said, "Yeah, I really mind"? I mean, I'd be offended if you did.
I would have kept my mouth shut then. You know?
Okay, I'm just curious. 'Cause, I mean, yeah.
Maybe I should have done that.
Maybe you should. You know, you might not like it. No. The point is, while you're blogging, make sure that when you blog, you have a local copy stored, whether it's in Microsoft Word, whether it's something in Mac, whether it's even in Notepad. And make sure you have a local copy stored. You could use Evernote. You could use Scribe. There's a great book writing tool called Scribe.
Okay.
Or Scrivener.
Scrivener.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking of. Scrivener.
Yeah.
And keep those notes, because then what you can do is, you know, go back, and maybe after you've written 20 or 30 blog posts, realize that you have 50 or 60 pages of a book. Go back, edit it real quick, and publish it, and publish an ebook just based on what you've written in your, you know, in your blogs.
Yeah.
That's one thing you can do. The other thing that you could do would be to start creating video content, and
Right.
structure that video content in such a way that when it's done, you have that you can actually take the content that you're already generating, or content that you could be generating, and you know, get a chance to produce, you know, get a chance to get ahead of the production of the ebook. So so that's great though. But it's great how you said, as far as what you're doing is you're out and just writing posts for people that are, you know, on, you know, giving people information that they might want, and that they'll find useful. Because that is really the best way to establish yourself as somebody who has credibility. So that's great.
Yeah, thank you for those ideas. No, they were really good, and I hadn't thought about, you know, saving all of the blog posts in one place and making it into a book. So that's really good. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's funny because, and I appreciate the compliment, and it's funny, but I can't tell you how many people Mark and I talk to that go, "Oh yeah, that's right, I should save those," because we're so used to writing, and we're like, well, it's on Facebook, it'll be there forever. Well, it might be, but it's a pain in the tuchus to go out and try and
It's hard to find.
Right.
and find it and get it all together, and it might not be there forever. You know, there's, you know, it's funny because, you know, as today, you know, we had a little bit of a delay in our recording session today because technology changed literally overnight, and there was something that worked successfully yesterday that they decided to change today. And, you know, if that's your content and it goes away, then, or if there's a problem, you know, I'll tell you a quick funny story. I used to be in IT, and it's funny, the guys watching it, you know, yes, you'll recognize when I tell you this story if you're actually watching this, but was there, and we were working, and we had a user call us and say, "Hey, I can't get my report." We were doing a database and a reporting software, and said, "Hey, can't get my report." And I said, "That's odd." So I tried to get into the system, and the system I couldn't log in. And I went, this is odd. So I walked over to the database administrator and I said, you know, "Hey, dude, what's going on? Can't get into production." And his face literally dropped to his desk, and he, you know, muttered, "Oh, sugar." And I said, "What?" And he goes, "Oh, I thought I was working in development. I must have been working in production, and I just deleted the entire database."
Oh, no.
Yeah, poof, gone. I mean, it's like one key delete, poof, gone.
Oh my God.
The time you might need it might just be gone. So
Right.
So
Well, even on your computer, you have to back that up because no guarantees.
Yes.
Yes, we've all had that moment of like,
Yes.
what?
Yeah.
Where did it go?
Exactly. Back it up, external drive, in the fire safe, off in another location, the whole 9 yards. So
You can never have too many back. I was talking to somebody yesterday whose his Gmail account got hacked, and
Oh
when he
no.
tried to recover it, he typed the wrong thing in, and now he's completely frozen out. And I was like, well, that's okay. You've got it all synchronized onto your computer, right? He's like, no,
No. Oh no.
lost all his contacts.
Oh God.
Not
so
good.
That's
so
painful.
yes. So
Mm.
so to kind of rein us back in and save us from
Are you
ourselves
saying
at this
are you
point,
saying we digress?
just a smidge. Let's get to the three questions that you submitted before this to, with regards to video content or this episode in particular. So the first one was, how can this help me promote my business? Well, the beautiful part about being a guest on Expert Showcase is you're going to get a copy of the episode that we shot. So you're going to get a chance to use that as content that you can send to a mailing list if you have it. You can put it on your website. You can send it to prospective clients. You can even put it somewhere, and when a client comes in and wants to understand, three key things that you can help them solve, you can say, look here, go to my YouTube channel or go to my website, and use it that way. So you can use that piece in any way you see fit. Um,
Wow, that's wonderful. Thank you.
you're welcome. And to take it one step further, I'll translate this into meaning video content as a whole. The beautiful part about creating video content that's branded for you, for your company, for your products and services is it allows you to promote your business, I'll say subtly, to everybody who watches it. Meaning, when somebody stumbles across it on YouTube and they see your branding in the background, it's not only on your channel, but it has your branding on it, has your name on it, has your website. You can see what we do for Expert Showcase. You can also go to VideoContent.Agency or Expert Showcase and see other client branded episodes that we do. And you'll notice in their brain and subconscious, so that when they think about somebody who does energy healing, they'll think of you. Make sense?
Yeah, yeah. No, that's good.
Excellent. So number two kind of falls into that. How
Yeah.
can I become a more credible expert? And this will be a simple answer for me anyway. Mark, then I'll throw it to you, see what
Yeah.
you've got. But video, video, video. Create as much video content as humanly possible and get it out there. There
What
is
if you don't like creating video?
What's that?
What if you don't like creating video?
Well, wait. You're a former dentist. Is this kind of like pulling teeth right now? Is this painful? Yes. He says yes. You don't
No,
seem like you're in pain.
I'm just joking.
So there is an actual answer to that question. If you don't like creating video, then what you do is you want to work with somebody that makes you feel comfortable on camera, interviews you about your particular topic, and makes you a co-star, so to speak, of your show, and does something very similar to what Mark did in your episode and what we're doing right now, which is you have a conversation with somebody who is constantly interviewing you. It's like you are the only guest on your show, and you're
Okay.
kind of a co-host. And month after month, you just have continual conversations. It'll get you to be more open, look more natural, and come across a lot better. And the fear kind of goes away. If you want to see some examples of that, I can tell you, Mark, you can look at probably Jan, who is another one of our health-based clients that we have from m5health.com. You can see her videos at the beginning and her videos now, and you can see how she's gotten more comfortable in this same style interview format. Kind of makes
Mhm.
sense?
Yeah, I really like that idea because I mean, doing the interview with you today, it was just really easy and it just flowed and I didn't have to really think about anything. Yeah, it's so much easier when someone is asking you
Right.
the question.
Because that's the thing, Pallavi. You know you are already an expert, so it's not like you have to prepare a presentation. Along comes somebody like me who doesn't necessarily know your area of expertise, and you get to educate me, and
Yes.
that is then the answer to the question. Because the thing about credibility, I mean, credibility, the word credibility comes from belief. Do I believe you? Do I
Mm.
believe that you know what you're talking about? Well, the audience is watching you educate me, and by extension is being educated by you, and so they're absorbing that information. And then if they take the, in your particular case, people are going to see your episode in a minute, where yours is actually technique based. They can literally try the techniques, and the credibility, as they say, the proof is in the pudding, right? The proof is in the tasting. So by trying the technique and saying, wow, this breathing and smiling thing really did actually bring my stress level down a notch. I believe it, right? I believe in Pallavi's teaching, and so I'm going to come back for more. You know, so that's how credibility works so well in an education-based marketing kind of way, and this interview format does that very well. So.
Yeah, I like that. So now I have a plan. Thank you.
There you go. You're quite welcome.
And then the last question is, how can I get more traffic to my website? And I'm going to give it's going to kind of sound like a broken record, but video. And here's what I mean. Videos are still ranked higher for the most part in Google than other things. I know a lot of that's changing, and by the time this gets released and everything, it might not be the case because Google likes to change things on a regular basis. But the more videos you have out there, the more likely people are to stumble across you. And if you structure the video right by having your website on and your contact information and that sort of thing, and if you structure the way you put the video up there right with descriptions and everything else, it's going to drive more traffic back to your website. And then if you couple that with a good email strategy where you're building your email list to keep traffic on your website, that really becomes the key. You still have to be out there promoting yourself. You still have to be putting the stuff out on social media. But there's a lot of studies that have been done recently. In fact, Mark, I found a couple articles I haven't even been able to get a chance to talk to you about yet, but people are now recommending you take the social buttons off of your website. And this is not just actual generic people, but these are kind of big names in the marketing and other fields saying the days of putting your social buttons on your website are going away and are pretty much gone. And you want to really work in reverse, because you don't want people to leave your site. You want people to come to your site and stay. And get the information right from there. Sure.
Oh, well, yeah, I was taking a slight different spin, but I think it makes sense even for another reason, which is that, the odds are that people are going to find you on social media first, really, unless they already know you, and then you're driving them from social media to your site. I think the days of putting so many of those links on is because it was the other way around. You were trying to get traffic to your site and then share them out to the social media, but the traffic is flowing in the opposite direction now because Facebook has 1 billion members. Your website has, not 1 billion members.
Well, and in the old days, what it was the fact of, sites, it was a way. Social links and links to social profiles were a way to allow people who didn't know how to develop websites to throw up a 1 or 2 page website and then go to something else where they were doing all of their other interaction. They were out on Facebook and they were on Twitter and that sort of thing. So it made sense. You find somebody's website and there's not a lot of content there, but they're working. It's like follow me on Twitter, follow me on Facebook, because that's where all the content is. Well, now the paradigm is shifting, and it's, okay, fine, you found me on Facebook and Twitter and everything, but because all the rules and privacy and all this other stuff, it's like you're being a puppet out there every now and then. Everything is changing. Now it's getting to the point of, look, WordPress is easy to use. There's other platforms. There's great developers out there who can put up websites. Some are, their custom websites still aren't cheap, but you get what you pay for in the end. But fact of the matter is that you then control your content and you have everything where you can keep control over it. So now that you have the fan base out there, and as you get the fan base, you drive them back to your site, keep them there, build the mail list, and that sort of thing. Kind of makes sense?
Yeah, that's really interesting. I'm not up to date at all, anything to do with technology, websites, social media. So that's really interesting to know. I would never have known that, not to really include the social media buttons on your websites. I think I do have a couple on mine. So that kind of information is really, really valuable. And also what you're saying makes total sense. It does. Why would you want people leaving your website once they're on there? So no point having them on there.
Yeah, and I think there's a natural evolution to this sort of thing in that, if you think about most people's experience on social media, they're in a hurry, they're trying to go through a lot, they're catching up on all the things that they missed for over the last several hours in the stream. So typically you're getting little nuggets of information in the social media posting, and you're leading people back to your website for the more depth. So if they see the headline or they see the teaser paragraph on Facebook, they're like, oh, actually, as they're skimming, they say, oh, wait, that looks interesting. You want to send them to your website then to read the full blog post in the same way that you might be using the blog post to ultimately sell a book, right? I mean, it's like the blog post is my 700 words to get you to then say, are you ready for the 60,000 words that are in the book? So different parts of your media system are better for different lengths of content too. So Pallavi, my ridiculously short answer to your actual original question about how do I get more traffic to my website is that you invite people to it, and in as many different forms as you possibly can. So you're inviting people when you're networking, you're inviting people when you're speaking, and telling them about the great information you have back on your website. You're inviting them from your social media posting to go and follow up and look at the deeper content that's there. So there's many different ways, and of course there's literally advertising to drive traffic to the website. So any of these things are really all about figuring out how to invite people and tell them that there's good stuff there, and then delivering good stuff when they get there, which makes them be happy, and they then become part of your inviting force. That's the real power of social media, is giving shareable information and incentivizing people to say, hey, share this out to the people that it will help. So the episode that people are about to see with 3 strategies is an inherently shareable piece of information, right? Say, hey, this really helped me get less stressed at the end of my day. Check out Pallavi's three tips here. And so just putting that out on social media and saying, hey, share this to the most stressed out people in your life, and let them know that there are 3 simple things they can do. So Chris, my short answer is, as usual, that was my short one-word answer that was invite them there. And then, of course, I went into my 20-minute speech about all the ways you can invite them there. Typical. Pallavi, this is what I do.
It's good, though. Just sharing your information, which is what people want.
So before I go on for another 4 hours, Chris, I know you have some closing thoughts for us, and we have to get to Pallavi's, because my talking for so long is stressing people out, and they're going to need 3 strategies now to feel better.
Stressing me out. I'm going to need to watch the episode to get the strategies again. And before I give my closing thoughts, Pallavi, anything else you want to say to the audience before we close out behind the episode?
No, it's been great being on here. I've really enjoyed it. I didn't know what to expect, and it's just been really fun. So thank you so much. Thank you for sharing all your valuable information and content. I really appreciate that. I'm definitely going to be implementing some of them for sure. They're really going to be helpful. And and if anyone has any questions at all about how to relieve their stress, I'd be more than happy to help in any way I can.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. So as the audience, you definitely want to stick around and watch Pallavi's episode, and help you, stop and breathe and smile and reduce stress. And goodness knows, after today, I think we all need that, right? And has nothing to do with Pallavi. It's just, inside joke. You got to watch all these episodes to get these inside jokes.
They won't even get the inside jokes because it's the technical stuff they can't see that's the source of the stress.
That's true. They just leave in what just happened.
There you go.
So, and if you're a coach and realize that being on Expert Showcase will give you a valuable piece of content. Normally we charge about $375 for something like this, but we'll give it to you for free. Come on over to expertshowcase.com, click the apply button, and apply to be our next featured guest. Now, I must admit, we don't accept everybody, but check out your application, and if we feel you're a good fit, we'll get in contact with you. And if we feel there's something off, we'll let you know what it is. And hopefully we'll have you on as our next featured guest on the Expert Showcase. And if you're a coach and realize the power of video content that can set you up, and realize that the power of video and video content marketing can set you up and can make you more visible, display your credibility, and set you up as the authority in your niche, or niche as our fellow Canadians and our fellow... We're not Canadian, but our fellow friendly Canadians to the north say.
And the Brits too, yes,
and
right?
The Brits,
Niche,
yes.
niche, yes.
Yes, I think we're the only ones that say niche. So
but we're arrogant, so we think it's the correct way. So,
well, that could be the case. So once again, if you're a coach and realize the power of video content, or want to explore the power of video content and video content marketing, and realize that you can be more visible, more credible, and be the leading authority in your niche through the power of video content marketing, go over to VideoContent.Agency, VideoContent.Agency. Take a look at the services. Take a look at what we have to offer. If you like what you see so far, get in contact with us. Once again, we don't work with everybody, but hopefully you'll be a good fit, and we'll sit there and set up a plan for you to be successful. And now, without any further ado, Mark, I'm going to roll the tape.
Today on Expert Showcase, we have Pallavi Kapoor talking about Is Stress Making You Crazy? 3 techniques that will help you remain calm and focused. Pallavi Kapoor, we're so glad to have you today on Expert Showcase as our expert guest. How are you today?
I'm great, thanks, Mark. Thank you so much for having me.
You're quite welcome, and you're connecting to us all the way from Princeton, New Jersey. So I say that only because sometimes we're connecting in Singapore, sometimes in Australia. So this is all the way to Princeton, New Jersey. So how's the weather in Princeton?
It's beautiful. Yeah, really nice today. Maybe not as warm as it could be, but it's very beautiful.
There you go. So Pallavi, help our audience get their mind right here. Give us a quick overview of what we're going to talk about together in this episode.
Basically about how to handle stress. Stress unfortunately has become a part of life these days, and it's really affecting our health and also our enjoyment of life. And the techniques that I'm going to share, very simple but really effective techniques to help you be able to stay calm, to think clearly instead of reacting, with panic or worry or becoming upset and angry, which unfortunately many of us tend to do when we're feeling stressed.
Never happens to me, Pallavi. I don't really understand what you're talking about, so I'm looking forward to learning about this thing called stress. Again, just to orient our audience, I'm just going to mention we're going to focus on 3 main things. So we're going to talk a little bit about stop, breathe, and smile. We're going to talk about shifting your focus, and we're going to talk about envisioning a positive future. All sound very good. So let's start with stop, breathe, and smile. What does this have to do with stress?
Well, basically, when we are stressed, we tend to take very small, shallow breaths. And when we do that, we don't get proper exchange of air in our lungs. And that just actually then causes you to become more anxious and more stressed. So by stopping and just taking a few deep breaths, you can actually calm everything down, because once you take deep breaths, you have good oxygen and carbon dioxide exchange in and out of your lungs, and that actually then causes your body to relax. And when your body is relaxed, then your muscles relax, you have more oxygen flowing around, your blood pressure becomes stabilized, and as a result, you just automatically feel calmer. And then that combined with smiling, it's been shown, researchers show that smiling actually also has many benefits. It produces endorphins in your body, which make you feel better and also help reduce pain. It also increases your immunity, and it just basically also makes you feel calmer. So when you can do those 2 techniques together, you will feel a lot more calmer, feel better emotionally, and you'll be able to focus better and react from a better place.
It is amazing, right? Because it almost sounds too good to be true. It sounds too simple.
Yes.
But I think the critical one is actually the first one, right? Because you get the breathe, you got smile, but it's the stop, right? I mean, you actually have to pause long enough to actually do this, to feel better, to calm yourself down. And I guess most of us are a little bit on a runaway train where we're just going from one thing to the next thing to the next thing, and there's no stop, so there's no breathe and smile.
Right, exactly. And I think that's important, to have something, to remind yourself. So whether it's just something like putting an elastic band on your wrist, or having a sticky note somewhere where you think you'll really see it, and not just ignore it. But anything that you can, think of just to use as a reminder to just help you remember to just stop and take that deep breath. And the actual breathing technique is very simple. It's nothing fancy at all. It's just a question of breathing from your stomach instead of your chest. Right. We all have a tendency to breathe from our chest, but it's actually the breath needs to come in and out of your stomach. So the best way of doing that is, to practice initially, until you feel you can really do it well naturally, is to put one hand on your chest, one hand on your stomach, just below your belly button. And then when you take a breath in, breathing deeply through your nose, and you should actually feel your stomach being pushed out. Mm-hmm. And your chest should actually stay still. And then you can hold, when you're breathing in, count for maybe like 3 to 5 counts. And then when you're breathing out, breathe out fully again, either through your nose or through your mouth. And then when you feel your stomach should actually then collapse in, sink back in, and your chest once again should stay still. And then the thing to remember when you're exhaling is to make the exhale just slightly longer than the inhale. So if you've held the inhale for maybe 3 counts, then breathe out for 5 counts. If you've held it for 5, then breathe out for 7. And that's all there is to it. It's so simple, but it is. But
sometimes things are so simple that we forget to do them, right? And yes. or we do them incorrectly because people learn to breathe with all the tension that they're holding, so they don't actually breathe in that deep way that you're talking about. Right. And that shallow breathing, some people you feel like you're short of breath, but it's because you're not exhaling, right? So that's why the exhale is so important.
And that's why it's so important to let that breath out for longer than you actually breathe in. Because you just need to just get everything out of you. We tend to hold things in so much.
All right, so there you have it. Here's technique number 1. Even though it's 3 things, that wasn't all 3 that we're talking about. That's 1. Stop, breathe, and smile. Yes. So let's shift our focus to shifting our focus. What is the shift your focus strategy here?
This is to think about something positive or something good about the situation. Because when something stressful happens, it's usually because it's something we do not like. And we have a tendency to then focus on the thing that we don't like and just blow it out of proportion and then worry about it, and it just escalates. And because our minds are thinking about everything that's wrong, we are just making the situation worse. You end up becoming then fearful. You start worrying about what's going to happen, what the repercussions will be, and before you know it, you've gone down that rabbit hole and who knows what's happened. You've imagined the worst case scenario in your mind when actually nothing's actually happened, but you're just worrying and thinking that it will. Exactly. So instead of doing that, all you need to do is look for something good in the situation. And there's always something that you can find, even if it's the fact that you're still breathing, the fact that you're still alive, the fact that you have a roof over your head, whatever it may be, there's something good. You can always find something good. And if you can't find even one single thing that's good, then think about something else in your life that is going well for you. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's somebody in your life that you really love and, who really makes you feel good. Maybe it's a positive memory that you have from the past that you can focus on. But if anything, either in the situation or something outside of it that makes you feel good. And by thinking those positive thoughts, you're actually taking away from the negative, because your mind can only think of one thing at a time. So by thinking a positive thought, you're not thinking about the negative. So if you're not thinking about the negative, you're not focusing on what's wrong, and you're not going down, that chain of negative reactions. Right. And also, you also have a better sense of balance, because you can realize then there's actually good things as well outside of the negative things. So you're not then going to feel like, your whole life or the situation is hopeless, or go into a place of despair. And then just by focusing on positive things, your mind is just going to, you're just going to feel better, calmer, more positive. And so just all of that will make you, put you into a better place emotionally.
Right, so it just takes that little bit of effort to make that shift, because I don't know about you, but I notice in myself, certainly have noticed in people I've worked with, when you're feeling very stressed, it's almost like the autopilot setting of your mind is to look for everything that's wrong. You're in that stress mode, you're in that fight flight. So whatever our ancestry is that we've inherited, we're scanning the environment for threat because we feel threatened. And so this is that shift of saying, well, wait a minute, by definition, if I'm breathing and I'm alive, more things have to be not wrong than wrong, right?
Right.
That was John Kabat-Zinn's line with chronic pain patients is, scan your body, because even though the pain is making you stare at it, there's definitely more that is not wrong in your body. And by tuning into that, you're same thing, different language, but shifting your focus and feeling that sense of positive energy, right?
Yes, and it's so easy to do. I mean, obviously it sounds easier. Sometimes in the moment it can be harder because, as you said, we have a tendency to focus on the negative because that's our mind's way of keeping us safe, keeping us, protecting us from danger, and it's something that's come over the many, many years. So it's something that you really have to practice. All of these things, they are really simple, but if you don't practice them, you're not going to be able to do them, and then you're going to think, well, they don't work because they don't come. They have to come naturally.
Yeah, I always joke with people, it's like, that's sort of like going into the gym and trying to lift the 50-pound weight that you've never picked up and saying, well, exercise doesn't work, because I can't lift it.
Right.
Yeah, no, there's a process of practice. There's a process of getting better at it.
Yes.
Well, let's move on to your third point then, which is really sounds more stretching from just shifting your focus to a little more detailed. So envisioning a positive future. What are you talking about there with the people you work with?
Well, this is basically you are focusing. It's kind of like taking the second step a step further, and basically we're visualizing here. Mm-hmm. And instead of focusing on what is happening, you're actually thinking about what you want to happen. Mm-hmm. So say if you're running late for work, instead of thinking about, oh my God, I'm late, what am I going to do? My boss is going to kill me, or whatever it may be that you think is going to happen. Mm-hmm. Think about what you want to happen, which for most people would be to arrive at work in perfect timing.
Right.
So all you have to do is think about the situation that you want to happen and feel how you will feel when that happens. So if you're running late and you want to be on time, well, how are you going to feel when you arrive at work on time? You're going to feel relieved, you're going to feel happy, you're going to feel calm, you're going to feel, like everything's good. So you have to focus on those feelings. Just, picture it in your mind, use all of your senses and just picture that in your mind and feel how it will feel when you arrive at work on time, or whatever the situation is.
Right, whatever that desired outcome is, yeah.
Yes, right. And then by doing that, your mind, because your subconscious mind does not know the difference between what's happening in reality and what's happening in your mind. So if you're thinking those positive things, it will pick up on those positive thoughts. And it's all about the energy, because our thoughts and feelings are all energy. And so basically, if you're putting out positive thoughts, you're going to attract positive things back to you. If all you're focusing on the negative and what is wrong, you're just going to have more of that happening to you. Which is why when you start the day off badly and you think, oh my God, my day's messed up now, everything's going to go wrong, and it does go wrong because that's what you're thinking. Whereas if you can just put that thought to the side and think, this is a great day, then, you're fine. Things will actually work out for you.
Right. Well, that's always the kicker about stress. I mean, it's because you can be 100% successful at avoiding things that stress you out, but you have not made any progress towards being happy, right? Because you're just in survival mode, so you're successfully avoiding all the negatives. But if you're not focusing on that positive vision, that positive outcome, then you're actually not cultivating that positive experience. You're simply avoiding the negative, but also dwelling on the negative at the same time, right? So
that's why it's also important to find a way of stopping those negative thoughts. So whatever you can do to stop the negative. So if you can listen to something on the radio that's uplifting, or I'm sure most people have smartphones these days, you can listen to something on there that you enjoy to make you feel good. You can just maybe just play some games in your mind, like, counting back from 1,000 back down to 0. Or you can just think of something that makes you feel good. Once again, somebody who you like, or a memory, somewhere you've been that you've enjoyed. Anything that you can do to keep your mind focused on the positive and stop thinking the negative thoughts. Because it's just as easy to think positive as it is to think negative.
Exactly.
But with no condition to thinking negative, it almost feels like an effort. It feels like work to think positive.
Well, it's a bad, I mean, habits are powerful because they don't require any effort, right? So if
Yeah.
you're in that habit of being stressed and being negative, then you have to break the habit. But you're right, it's not harder, it's just that it's not automatic yet until you kind of lay down that new pattern. So
Yeah.
well, all very good stuff. So we've been focusing on three real good techniques here for dealing with stress. We've been speaking with Pallavi Kapoor, who is our stress expert today. So we talked about stop, breathe, and smile. We talked about shifting your focus. We talked about envisioning a positive future. So Pallavi, I'm sure you have lots more to offer than what we can cover in just three simple things here. I'm going to tell people how they can get in touch with you. So you have an offer for them that they can have a free consultation with you. That sounds very generous. And they do that by giving you a phone call. So the number is 732, and we're going to put it up on screen here. So 732-798-5955, or they can email you at naturalhealingoasis@gmail.com. Did I get that correct?
Yes, all correct. Thank you.
Good. Well, Pallavi, it's been great having you as our expert today on Expert Showcase. Any closing thoughts before we go?
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. And all I can say is just, these techniques, they sound so simple, they really are very effective. And, please don't dismiss them. Just give them a try.
Absolutely.
And, just let me know if they work for you or if there's any other way that I can help. But it really is a question of just practicing. If you can practice using that muscle, they really will become second nature. And then once they become second nature, it's amazing how much easier life becomes. And yeah, it just becomes so much more joyful.
Excellent. Well, and if you want some help with that, if you're trying these techniques and they're helping a little bit and you want more, or you're struggling, then get in touch with Pallavi Kapoor. We have the information up there on screen for you. Pallavi, great having you today in Expert Showcase. Thanks for being with us today.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Mark.
And another great Expert Showcase episode. Chris, what should people do right now?
Yeah, if you're watching this and you're a coach or consultant, imagine what it would do for you and your business if you were a guest on Experts Showcase. And here's the best part. Other than possibly increasing your business, an appearance on Experts Showcase is free. We give you a copy of your episode so you can use as marketing collateral, and we give you a coaching session to go along with it to tell you how you can best market your episode and other tips and tricks about your business. So what you want to do is head on over to expertshowcase.com, click on the big yellow apply button, and apply to be our next featured guest on the Expert Showcase. Now, if you're a coach or consultant and you've already imagined what having your own internet talk show will do for you, then we want you to head to VideoContent.Agency and check us out, check our packages out, and get in contact with us. Let's see if we're a good fit, and let's see if we're the ones to produce you and make you the next star and have your own internet talk show. And until next time, Mark, anything else?
I couldn't have said it any better, so just do what he said.